11 Signs you ought to never trust somebody. Trust is an essential part of each and every relationship. The capacity to believe someone else influences your type of correspondence, the manner in which you feel about them, and that you are so open to imparting significant things to them. It even influences how much time and exertion you're willing to put resources into the relationship. Tragically, not every person is reliable. Certain individuals are outright awful information, and if you would rather not get injured, you should have the option to detect them before it's past the point of no return, and keeping in mind that a few signs are more self-evident, such as cheating or breaking guarantees, others aren't generally so clear. Whether you're taking a gander at outsiders, associates, companions, or possible significant others, the following are a couple of things that can demonstrate they may not deserve your trust. Number 1. They overstate and tell misleading statements. You know how it goes. You're in a discussion, and the other individual offers something that makes you go, pause, what? You can't exactly sort it out whether it's something they've said or done that doesn't make any sense, or on the other hand assuming something doesn't add up about their manner of speaking that appears to be not quite right. At the point when this occurs, it's generally in light of the fact that the individual is telling misleading statements and reasonable misrepresenting. Misleading statements will be proclamations that are in fact obvious, yet significant subtleties are forgotten about. Misrepresentation is comparable. It incorporates genuine components, however they're made a huge deal about. Certain individuals are downright out there in their lies, while others are more unpretentious with their deceptive nature. One way or the other, in the event that you begin to see something wrong with their accounts or conduct, now is the ideal time to begin addressing what they are talking about and doing. Number 2, they can't acknowledge that others have conclusions. In the event that you end up in a circumstance where an individual attempts to demonstrate that their perspective is the one in particular that is important, or they to let you know what to think, it's a colossal warning. Nothing bad can really be said about serious areas of strength for having. Be that as it may, you ought to feel open to sharing your own considerations and thoughts without stressing over being judged or condemned for them. Assuming that somebody reliably subverts you or closes you down, they likely ought not be relied upon. Individuals like this think that their perspectives are realities and they excuse all the other things. They're normally mischievous and controlling, and believe that everybody should concur with them and think like them. Number 3, they are exorbitantly beguiling. In the event that somebody appears to be great or like they're unrealistic, there's a decent opportunity they're not being bona fide. Furthermore, that is on the grounds that appeal is a device that controllers like to use to get what they need from individuals. What's more, some of the time, it tends to be difficult to tell whether an individual is veritable or simply needs to involve you for their own benefit. At the point when someone is making a solid attempt to stand out enough to be noticed and establish a decent connection with you, all things considered, they are attempting to conceal something or show up more affable than they really are. So assuming that you're getting energies of craftiness from them, it's ideal to go with your stomach and avoid them as much as possible. Number 4, they're fast to judge yet sluggish to acclaim. Clearly, we as a whole appointed authority individuals somewhat. It's human instinct to search out designs in things and afterward sort them. In any case, the people who rush to pass judgment and slow to commend, will generally have a pessimistic point of view as a rule, and frequently consider others to be rivalry. They're not extremely sympathetic or empathetic, and that implies that they won't be extraordinary audience members or great at grasping others' points of view. This mentality can be harmful in any relationship since it makes it challenging for the individual to acknowledge your triumphs and disappointments as a component of a common encounter. They generally search for your shortcomings, as opposed to seeing what you've gotten along admirably. Number 5, they have nothing great to say regarding others. You can perceive a ton about an individual by the manner in which they discuss others. And keeping in mind that there are numerous rotten ones out there. When somebody just sees the most exceedingly terrible in others, that is an awful sign. All things considered, assuming they have nothing great to say regarding others, they're most likely not entirely amiable themselves. So have zero faith in an individual who continually knocks others. You should rest assured they're not uttering a word decent about you. By the same token, number 6, they make abuses look like jokes. There's a distinction between a joke and an affront. On the off chance that somebody is offending you, they're not messed with you, they're being mean. This is typically a sign that they don't regard you, or your sentiments, or that they assume they are better than you. A little mockery is a certain something, yet in the event that you're routinely being offended and it's not even recognized as an affront, that is a terrible sign. On the off chance that somebody is ridiculing you, even facetiously, they presumably don't have your well-being on the most fundamental level. They're simply attempting to encourage themselves by cutting you down. Inquire as to whether this individual is purposefully causing you to feel terrible or attempting to aggravate you. Assuming this is the case, it could be ideal to release them. In any case, it seems as though they're not worth the work. Number 7, they are the person in question or the legend in each story. In the event that somebody's consistently the person in question or legend of their own accounts, they're probably playing a job that doesn't match who they really are. These individuals either attempt to cause you to feel frustrated about them, or they attempt to do right by themselves. They will generally be underhanded and have an expanded identity significance. At the point when an individual reliably puts themselves in a positive light and every other person in a pessimistic light, they are normally attempting to persuade themselves that they're correct. I'm not saying there's anything amiss with being a casualty or legend in certain circumstances. It's simply that on the off chance that you wind up in discussions where somebody's generally something or other, it ought to raise a warning. Number 8, they dismissal your limits. Trust is based on regard and understanding. So to push past them, it's anything but a decent indication of what might be on the horizon. You are the main individual who ought to have the option to draw the lines of what you feel okay with in regards to your own space, property, and associations with others. In the event that somebody pushes you to do things you're not happy with or causes you to regret saying no, it implies they couldn't care less about you so much, and that is not a sound circumstance for anybody included. Number 9, their group of friends changes a considerable amount. It's not unexpected to have a few companions go back and forth over the course of life, yet assuming somebody has another dearest companion consistently, it very well may be an indication that they're not so dependable as you would naturally suspect. They're unquestionably not exceptionally steadfast or dependable. Also, they may be inclined to show, assuming an individual's continually moving their friend network, it very well might be on the grounds that they're not able to focus on any of them, and that implies they likely can't focus on you. By the same token, number 10, they rationalize their way of behaving. Reliable individuals recognize their imperfections and inadequacies and assume a sense of ownership with them. They likewise take analysis without getting guarded or furious. In the event that somebody generally rationalizes why they act a specific way or they redirect fault onto others, this is on the grounds that they're not able to recognize any shortcoming in their own way of behaving. An individual like this may pay special attention to themselves and isn't very worried about your viewpoints and sentiments. Number 11, they have an approach to causing you to feel like you owe them. This very manipulative strategy can cause it to seem like the other individual is accomplishing something pleasant for you when they're simply attempting to get something out of you. It tends to be difficult to detect this way of behaving at first, since individuals who do it are many times truly adept at causing their intentions to appear to be unadulterated. They seem to be magnanimous and caring when truly they're simply attempting to get what they need from the circumstance. Individuals who will quite often cause others to feel obliged to them are the people who like to control what is going on. They need to realize they have the advantage and couldn't care less about your sentiments or wishes. They need to feel like they're in control. It's critical to have the option to trust individuals, but at the same time it's significant not to indiscriminately trust.